All right, Shalom. Before I start, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwarash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all the elect Akim, Wa'akwath, learning, teaching, and truth and sincerity into the video to the Spirit. Your brother Malak from GNS Detroit. A fair use, Invicta, right? I don't profit off of this, just using certain points from this video. Right here, y'all see it. It says how they did it. Fast food in ancient Rome. All right, this clip is going to go on to show you one of America's prized possessions, right? Convenience food, fast food. Where did they get their basis from? You guessed it, Rome. Why is that? Because America is the Roman Empire revived. I don't know how many more pieces of evidence a son of a gun needs to come to that understanding. All right, every facet of the society, big and small, one way or another, can be traced back to ancient Rome. Why? Because that is the dragon that gave him his power, the seat, the authority, the throne. That was Esau, Edom's ancient mighty kingdom, and this is his modern mighty kingdom. And this is how we know who he is in prophecy and what's going to happen to him. All right, but the point of this video is just going to be showing how, y'all, that spirit of fast food, I want it now, I need it now, that comes from Esau, Edom, and he's forced the people of the world to take on that kind of spirit. And us, the Israelites, our culture is one of patience, right? One of taking the time to make a well-balanced and a proper meal, right? To break bread with one another, not just to stuff some shit in your face. That's the spirit of Esau, Edom. All right, so I'm gonna let this play. We'll get some scriptures. All right, you have to, as you're in this truth, as the days go by, you have to further immerse yourself in the customs of your people and shake yourself from this man's customs. You should not be in this truth eating McDonald's ever. I can see Wendy's maybe once a month, but damn, you should be McDonald's should no longer be on your appetite. Right? You should be in the house cooking as much as you can, trying to get the best of the foods as you can to take care of the vessel that the Heavenly Father gave you until we get up out of here. Alright, so let's go.
When we imagine what it would be like to eat a meal in ancient Rome, we often think of enjoying an elaborate banquet in reclined luxury. But while this might have been common among the upper classes, it doesn't reflect the experiences of the vast majority of Rome's urban plebs. Instead, these individuals would hit up their local fast food joint for a dine-in or take-out experience with friends and family. We have some evidence of this from a variety of archaeological sites, the most exciting of which is the recent find at Pompeii, which shows the fantastically preserved remains of an ancient snack shop. In this video, we will seek to bring the Roman fast food experience to life by rebuilding these establishments, diving into their menus, and taking a seat with their customers. Along the way, we will also be joined by Max Miller from Tasting History, who can offer some valuable insight on the topic. So today, let's explore what it actually would have been like to experience the street food culture of ancient Rome. As we dive into the variety of food from the ancient world, also consider the huge
First let me fast forward. He's doing his advertisement. All right, so first we're gonna see where
At the Little Clinic, we're your health experts. With personalized, ongoing, and preventive care, we diagnose health conditions.
We can begin.
Here we go. Where does the need for fast food even come from? Why in ancient Rome and here in modern day America and first world countries and whatnot? Why aren't you out back going into your garden or picking from among your flock, right, to carve up and cook for the entire family? Why are you going to a stranger to eat some rushed prepared food, right? And which I'm not saying all civilizations have had restaurants and have had dining. I'm not saying that Esau, Edom, so-called white man, created restaurants in general or outside dining and feasting, whatnot. The idea of fast food culture, that's what we're dealing with. Where does that come from? That hushed, hurry up, gotta get to it now, can't wait, I want it now. Where does that come from?
by resetting our expectations of the home life for your average Roman. All too often, courses and books leave the false impression that Rome's residential areas were filled with copy-pasted versions of the standard Roman domus. These were buildings whose floor plan provided most of what you'd expect from a home today. A main entrance, a living room, a storage area, a kitchen.
So the domus is for wealthier people, right? A multi-layered house. But the majority of the public lived in something else.
Rather, they would have lived in the Roman version of an apartment building, known as an insula. These
Insulation.
multi-story dwellings filled the city and are what allowed it to boast such a large population. But without any regulations on their construction, these insulae ended up providing only small, cheap, cramped spaces for their occupants. In such a setup, there was no room for fancy dining, let alone cooking. Thus, the vast crowds of apartment dwellers had to turn elsewhere for their meals. What?
That right there. Small, cramped, condensed living forced people to turn elsewhere for meals. Rather than having all of your own land, all of your own animals, your flock, your gardens, right? Vineyards, all of yours. I just did the video last night, right? Dealing with nutrition. Esau Edom, like he does today, back then forces people to be cramped together into small, tight areas with high population density. And that's strike number one. So we already see one of the downsides of living neck to neck to everybody. Even, if you do have a house, more than likely your neighbor's house is a good piss away. All right, keeping it a whole buck. Isaiah 5, let me get this real quick. Isaiah 5 and 20. No, not 20, excuse me. Isaiah 5 and 8. Woe unto them that join house to house, that lay field to field, till there be no place, that they may be placed alone in the midst of the earth. Esau Edom back then and today has everybody living on top of each other. Therefore, you do not have the land that you should have to provide for yourself and for your family. So everybody's bottlenecked into the same areas to get food. Nothing new under the sun.
Developed was a massive food service industry made up of thousands of businesses spread across Rome. These fit into every nook and cranny of the city. For instance, public buildings like baths and markets often had storefronts built into them, while the first floors of apartments and even the fronts of wealthy houses had shop space that could be run by the owners or rented out to businesses. These stores and workshops, known collectively as tabernae, provided all kinds of goods and services.
Taverns, right?
You'd find metalworkers, woodworkers, potters, barbers, tailors, cloth makers, wine sellers, butchers, fishmongers, produce merchants, and many more professions. For the purposes of this video, we will be focused on the tabernae which specifically provided food and beverage services.
Right, so we're dealing with the food department. Because like I said, Esau Edom weren't the first people to have, markets and sales, right? We had such things as well. But once again, we're dealing with this fast food culture. We're already coming to understand that it's a thing of convenience. When you're being forced to live in cramped areas, you have to go to other areas to get your food since you're not able to grow your own, right? Strike one.
For most of the day, these tabernae would be open for business, bustling with activity. At closing time, they would be boarded up and locked
All right, Salaki, I'm just fast forward a little
down
bit.
for the night. Find some 200 bars, taverns, and shops. So what did these shops look like on the inside? Well,
Right there. It looked like you, in your modern day, you walk into the goddamn McDonald's or the Burger King. The L-shaped counter, right? With the motherfuckers behind it, getting your order together, y'all. Wrapping that shit up, wrapping up the plastic. They finna feed you in more plastic while you drinking out of plastic, drinking petroleum color. Shit, it's the same shit all over again.
we get our best evidence from the preserved remains of Ostia, Pompeii, and Herculanum. Here, we find that the most common form of establishment was the snack bar known as the popina.
Chest, feet, and even down there. That's care everywhere, everywhere.
Come on, man.
Of establishment was the snack bar known as the Popina. Its entrance was a large decorated doorway meant to draw in customers. Immediately facing the street would be an L-shaped counter. It stood around waist height and had a marble or stone top. This is where the customer would place their orders. As such, it had several key features. The primary one was the presence of holes, which gave access to inbuilt round amphorae, known as dolia, which might hold all manner of food or drink. These in turn were often heated by a small stove beneath the bar, while lids were present to cover them while not in use. The end effect was something similar to a modern shawarma shop. Another feature of this front bar was a small set of step shelves built along the wall.
So we're seeing, how it's built. Let me fast forward. It's literally built like, modern day fast food restaurant style, right? The L-shaped counter, you walk in, they got all the shit in the back behind, and all the little workers working, right? You see.
Emanation of the sewers of Herculaneum reveal the extent of the Roman diet. Here are a few tables summarizing this, which you can pause to check out in detail.
Oh, then they had the menu up, right? As you just saw.
At the very low end of the menu would be dirt cheap items like porridge, nuts, beans, and boiled or roasted chickpeas. The equivalent of the dollar menu would have cost you little more than an as, Rome's tiny denomination coin made of bronze and later copper.
Even had a dollar menu.
The rich often looked down on the poor who ate from this menu, calling them
Right, the rich look down on the poor who ate from this menu. Do we not see that today? For going to restaurants that are on a lower status, right, you'll get clowned today. So that spirit of, I have more money, I'm a better person than you, that spirit carried over all the way still to this day, which is what, you hear it is, you try to go take a bitch somewhere, right? Did you not have the black woman not too long ago? Talking about they better not you better not take them to no cheese factory. You see what I'm saying, y'all? That same spirit of piece of shit carried over, even today. And what it gets rid of is this thankfulness to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai that you're even allowed to eat in the first damn place. Let me get that real quick, y'all. Hey, if you didn't already, before you put something in your mouth, you should be giving praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. That's our culture as Hebrews, y'all. Don't just be waking up and fucking eating and drinking and shit, not praying over nothing like a goddamn pit bull with your dick out. You should be praying and thanking Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash, for every meal that you intake to keep you going on a daily basis, y'all. We're not like these people. Have some tact. Deuteronomy 8:3, and he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know. Make this turn. That he might make thee know that man doth not live by bread only, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord doth man live. Right, and then, hey, you can say this prayer, right, before you eat. Deuteronomy 8:3, memorize it, you can say it, right? And it's a remembrance of the fact that, there was times the Heavenly Father, when he had us going through the wilderness, he tried us for a minute. He made us go hungry to see what we was about. And what did Jake do? Fail. All right, but before you eat, y'all, you give praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai in remembrance of the times that you couldn't eat and times that you was hungry. So you thank them for allowing you to be able to eat. Do you think they had that type of spirit in Rome? No. That's why they don't have it today. That's why these people are not grateful. Right? Here it is. You take your time, you take your money to go out to eat. And even your children have that, at least, Lord willing, right, brothers and sisters, your children are learning, right? And they ain't like the average American kids, but if they are, hey, all the commercials they seen, all the advertising, come in, eat, smashing shit in their face. They don't have a spirit of thankfulness behind it. And once again, that's not our culture. Let me get this. Greedy upon me. Serious, you trying to eat, motherfucker, making fun of you over here. Another motherfucker clowning you, calling you broke. Damn, man. Hey man, this dude E, y'all, he's something else. Let me deal with this. Sirach 37, and I'm gonna start at 29. It says, "Be not unsatiable in any dainty thing, nor too greedy upon meats." Right, insatiable. You can't quench your hunger, and that spirit is heavily pushed out today. DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, right? Open late night. Get it whenever you want it. The Heavenly Father ain't dealing with that type of spirit. And hey, we waking up and eating at 3 a.m. in the fucking morning, man. That's boy, you going off. And I'm talking a little bit of shit with that one, right? If you hungry, you're allowed to eat, but you understand what I'm saying. This spirit of overconsumption. We're warned against that, y'all. You're not gonna die because 6 hours and went by and you ain't ate nothing. It says, "For excess of meats bringeth sickness, and surfeiting will turn into cholera." Right, so constantly stuffing yourself can literally make you sick, vomit, and then literally lead to health diseases. Esau Edom, does he teach us against that in this world? No, you're promoted to eat like a demon. All you can eat buffets, right? By surfeiting have many perished, but he that taketh heed prolong his life, right? So if you take heed and not, you're not stuffing your face like a son of a bitch, you'll have a healthy, long life. So let's go some more.
Calling them derisively Ikikaris Emptor, or buyer of roasted chickpeas. At a tier slightly above this, you would start to open up your options. Paying a sestertius, or 2.5 asses.
Right, so the more further up you went up the menu, it was, more presumably your prestige was. So you were treated different. Respect to persons type shit. Just like in today's world, you go to, I don't know, super acclaimed restaurants like that, but that guy the Salt Bay nigga, charging niggas $1,800 for dinner out, right? You consider big shit if you can go there, but if all you can afford is, let's say something like, what's an international, if you can only go to I'll just say something like Pizza Hut, right? I get made fun of or something. That same shit all over again.
You could get porridge with flavorful additives like honey and spices, or real bread and pastries. You could also get all kinds of produce imported into the city or grown locally in the urban gardens. These would include hazelnuts, almonds, grapes, olives, dates, figs, cabbage, beets, apples, pickled or fried. Starting the select vinegar with water and
For over 30 years, PetSmart Charities has helped more than 11 million pets get adopted. And right now,
vinegar with water and some herbs. Might get you a small bowl's worth of these grains, and you could start to entice them to bring out the good stuff.
I'm just fast forwarding to the next point I wanted.
Ancient Romans had both red and white wines, which came from various regions around the empire. Just as today, each had 2 to 3 meals a day. The first, the intaculum. Now that we've laid out the options, we can move on to the dining experience. For starters, it must be said that the Romans usually had 2 to 3 meals a day. The first, the intaculum, occurred in the morning. It was quite light, typically consisting of bread dipped in wine or olive oil, and perhaps a few small bites of cheese and fruit. The second, prandium, occurred at noon. For the rich, it was just a light snack, meant to tide them over to dinner. However, for the poorer labor class, it was usually far more hefty. This is when you might get your bread, meat, nuts, vegetables, and fruit to replenish your energy. The final meal, cena, took place in the evening. For the upper classes, they would enjoy an elaborate, multi-course feast. The poor, however, didn't have that kind of money to spend, and thus might have had a relatively lighter cena or eaten nothing at all.
Right, and so, us Israelites, right, even though you had certain rich Israelite families, but the majority of us, you can imagine, we probably wasn't eating 3 well-class, fancy meals a day, plus snacks, like our Edomite Roman counterparts, right? Some, who would have been wealthy, in which, you had poor Romans. But you see here, that spirit of eating all throughout the day. Come on, y'all. That's that bullshit we've learned under this man, right? Literally a breakfast, the term break fast. Overnight you would have slept, right? Not waking up at 12, to eat. Then you woke back up at 2 to eat, stomach bulging. That's not how we got down as a people. That's how Esau's greedy ass gets down. And we just read in that Sirach. And trust me, we gonna go to that Genesis. You already know that. Double check it. 13:30, 16:30. Cool. So we gonna jump, get some more scriptures in a second.
The fast food
pepper. It's lots of ingredients and a little bit harder to really
the Insight Max. Now, in terms of the
a little bit harder to really know what it would have tasted like. So you kind of got to take it all with a little grain of salt or a sip of garum.
Thanks for the insight, Max. Now, in terms of the actual dining experience, you'd start by forming a line in front of your place of choice. At peak hours, this could stretch around the block. While we don't have evidence to support this, it's possible that there may have been some sort of ancient chains of fast food restaurants.
And you know there was, because there is today. So you can imagine these motherfuckers, ready to get their goddamn ancient form of, all the bullshit that they like to eat. All right, the same thing all over again today, y'all.
I've conjured up a few franchise ideas for when I finally... Upon reaching the counter, you'd then place your order. The menu would be listed on the wall, made apparent by the food before you, or be described by the staff. Once you made your selection, you would pay up. Prices again might be listed or communicated to you. For some items, it was a fixed price, while for others you paid by weight. It seems that the coinage would go into a cash register of sorts behind the counter, which was usually just an empty pot. At the shop of Vetutius Placidus in Pompeii, archaeologists, for instance,
Right, so, it's the same thing all over again, y'all. Go in there, pick what you want, buy it, eat it. Literally, the same shit. You can't make this up.
found around. For others, it offered a bench or two, and otherwise might have had a few stools spilling out into the streets. These would fill up quickly. Larger shopments. You left, your food would often be carried out in a to-go bag.
Takeout bags.
These would typically be made from cloth or random bits of paper. The apartment. There was tons of room here where you social event. Then you'd head over.
Why did you stop being a vigilante? The line was crossed. I was raised.
The wine flowed freely in these establishments, and they were often associated with all the vices that philosophers would criticize: drunkenness, rowdiness, prostitution, and filth. Gambling in particular was a major
drunkenness, rowdiness, prostitution, and filth. What do you see around these different, restaurants and chains at night? Motherfuckers drunk, right? Out there, trying to bum and get his dollar so he can get a burger. Motherfuckers just acting a whole nut. Why? Because they're supercharged with GMOs, drugs, alcohol, you fucking name it, right? Ungodly amounts of sugar and salt in these fast foods, you fucking name it.
Attraction, despite the fact that it was technically illegal on most days. As one might imagine, these places could quickly get rowdy. Notices, for instance, have been found in common rooms, with innkeepers impotently declaring that no violence was tolerated. Pretty please. It's no surprise that the elite derided these eateries for the common folk as greasy, sleazy establishments. There was definitively some class bias at work here. However, to some degree, they did have a point. At one inn...
Right, so, that's mainly all of what I wanted to show. So, let's start from the basics, man. Where does that spirit of I can't wait, I want it now come from, pertaining to food? Where does that come from, y'all? Y'all should already know. Genesis, let's get right to it. Genesis 25, and the spirit that he has, he's forced this spirit throughout the world. Because now you have these fast food chain restaurants in places like Japan, places like India, right? All throughout the world, emulating his spirit. Motherfuckers are abandoning their customs for burgers and soda and dying half a lifetime sooner. Genesis 25 and 29. And Jacob sawed porridge, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, "Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint." Therefore was his name called Edom, right? Red pottage, right? And Jacob said, "Sell me this day thy birthright." And Esau said, "Behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he sware unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. And Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Right. So he didn't have any tact. He didn't have any patience to wait for his meal to be done. Hence, he has the name now Edom, meaning bread. And that spirit is heavily on Americans. And in people where these fast foods, exist in other countries throughout the world, motherfucker, get ready to blow your brains out. Right? How many videos, y'all, we could pull up? Do you know how many niggas die in fast food restaurants? Right? The argument will start about the burger or the fries, and now somebody gets shot down. We could go pull up clips right now. Shootouts. Hold up, y'all. Hold up. Fast food fights. Now, I'm not going to click on any because I don't want them to take the video, right? But y'all already see what time it is. And these are motherfuckers kicked up, geared up off of salt and sugar in these daggone restaurants. Minds completely scrambled. Jacksonville Burger King fight, must watch. Motherfuckers beating each other silly because they got the spirit of the goddamn devil on them. Right here. Now is this it? Okay, no, I gotta find the original video. That girl, is that white girl? She was sitting there. Hold on, I gotta find that video. Y'all know. Here we go. All I want is Wingstop. Hang on, I know y'all seen this.
Worked for 10 hours! All I want is Wingstop!
That's a little excessive.
Fucking why?
That's a little excessive. CEO of Peggy.
I'm fucking starving to win! What did you eat today? I ate nothing! Nothing! Worked!
That's the spirit of Edom, y'all. 10 hours ain't shit. Brothers, bitch. I've done 20. Brothers done did back-to-backs. 24s. 216s. That bitch is tripping like that off of 10 hours. What do you think is going to happen when Jacob Trouble pop off, y'all? These people are going to rip each other's fucking chest open. But once again, we see that spirit of her forefather Esau upon her, going fucking ballistic. Bitch. What's she? Tripping, man. She's tripping. But that's the spirit that this style of cuisine produces, y'all, and that's not how we got down. That's not how we get down as Hebrews, y'all. Breaking bread and supping was a heavy thing. You didn't just break bread with any old body, right? And brothers have gone into lessons dealing with this. Breaking bread is a meeting of the minds, a sharing of spirit and kindredship, right? Brotherhood. When you let me go to Genesis. What is that? You had the angel come to Abraham. That preparation that Sarah and the servants didn't take 10 seconds. This is Genesis 18, and it says it's 18. Genesis 18:1. It says, and Yahweh appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day, and he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground. All right, and we know that this angel, this was Yahushua, y'all. And he had several other angels with him, because later on down he says, I'll return to thee in the time of life. As who? Isaac, right? It says, verse 3, and so Abraham, what is he going to go do? It says, and said, my Lord, if now I have... beat about his Slakia. And he said, my Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. Right. So he told him, hey, y'all sit down, I'm going to take care of y'all. I'm going to hook you up. It says, and I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your hearts. After that ye shall pass on, for therefore are ye come to your servant. And they said, so do as thou hast said. Right. So he went and got some bread to hold them over, and then what did he command? And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah and said, Make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, knead it and make cakes upon the hearth. And Abraham ran unto the herd and fetched a calf tender and good, and gave it unto the young man, and he tasted to dress it. And he took butter and milk and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. Now, y'all, do you think this process took 10 seconds? Of course not. He went and grabbed the bread initially to, to hold them over. Then what? He got his wife, and obviously he would have got his servants. Abraham was a man of wealth. Got a goodly calf, as it says, right? Think about this, the process. You got to skin it, disembowel it, right? Chop it up, cook the good parts, wait a minute for the meat to cook, right? Get the bread together, get the butter together, get the milk together, dress it all up. That's why he ran them some bread first, and cakes to hold them over, y'all. This is how we break bread as the Hebrews. Not to say that, in the kingdom, I'm pretty sure we'll have places of cuisine, right? Mighty and magnificent. Brothers is going to be seeing who the best chef is and whatnot. Excuse me. But that spirit of I want it now, pull up to the driveway window, cursing the motherfucker. That's the spirit of Esau Edom. As we just saw with that bitch. I want Wingstop, right? That's not how we do. We take time, and when we break bread, it's something serious, which is why Abraham was hastening. Matter of fact, you type that term in, y'all. What do you get? Break bread. This is how we deal as Hebrews, man. You gotta come out of the mindset of Esau Edom. Breaking bread is a serious thing for us, the Israelites. Acts 2 and 40, it says, and with many other words did he testify and exhort, saying, save yourselves from this untoward generation. Then they gladly received his word. Then they that gladly received his word were baptized, and the same day there were added unto them about 3,000 souls. And they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship, and in breaking bread and in prayers, y'all. When we come together, we not just smashing our faces in, sipping orange sun-kissed, right? Kid bouncing all over the room, uncontrolled, right? Brothers is rehearsing doctrine together, right? Enjoying each other's time and company, no TV, no cell phone, praying, communicating. This is the spirit that we come in, not that rushed and hurried spirit. And taking it back a bit, Abraham was able to go and get cattle and milk and bread and all that because he didn't live in a fucking apartment. He had land and wealth. Another reason why people have to turn to fast food, you don't own anything. You have no power. So you're dependent on this man. Y'all, we're going to go back to our customs, our manner of life. What was this? Jumping down. I'll keep reading. It says, and fear came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were done by the apostles. So they were all fellowshipping together, deepening their faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And all that believed were together and had all things common, and sold their possessions and goods, and parted them to all men, as every man had need. And they, continuing daily with one accord in the temple, and breaking bread from house to house, did eat their meat with gladness and singleness of heart, praising the power and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to the church daily such as should be saved, right? So right here, y'all, we get to see how we did it, man. And Esau Edom, this rushed and hurried up violent spirit, hurry up, give me my food before I kill you. Y'all, that's the spirit of E. And we're in the kingdom, we not gonna be like that, all right? So, I found that clip. It was interesting dealing with the system of fast food as we have it now today, y'all. Of course, just like many things, go back to Rome, right? And it's all a part of his image. All the things that are normal in this society, all right, and that he's pushed throughout the world, all the things that these people do, it all goes back to one place, and I wonder why. Hey, so that's it. I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem. Wakakorash, honors to the elders and apostles, Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all the elect Akim Wa'akwath, learning, teaching, truth, and sincerity. Shalom.
10 hours! All I want is Wingstop!
That's a
Can
little
you
excessive.
fucking drive?
That's a little excessive. CEO of Peggy.
I'm fucking starving, Miss Wiz! What did you eat today? I ate nothing!